Well, good afternoon to everyone. This is my stock watch for May 12 about infrastructure, and I am happy to be talking about nation building and setting the stage for growth. Um, it comes down to the nation's economy, which is measured by gross domestic product or gross domestic output. It's the sum total of the goods and services produced in the country in a given year. Thankfully, our Philippine GDP has been growing over time, even though it's a bumpy ride sometimes. In general, as the demand for goods and services increases because of more people need more food and more houses and more schools, then the GDP tends to creep up over time. Even though it's not a uniform 5% per year growth, it's sometimes positive, negative, positive, negative. The one thing sure is that for it to grow more, you need energy, water, transportation, structures, more infrastructure. And so, with good infrastructure, you can foresee that GDP can continue rising steadily over time. Now, there's a big need for more transportation, more water, electricity, construction projects. And in many cases, the government relies on private sector to do some of the work, and the companies with expertise and experience take up the challenge, but then they also need capital. Aside from having good employees, good engineers, good contractors at their disposal, they also need to have capital. And that's provided by the private sector, by us, the savers. We save money and then we take it out of the bank and we lend it to the companies who are working on these projects, or we invest in their shares. So that's why you could help them out by investing in their shares or any share offerings that they might have in future. It'll help them with their financing. Now, these are six of the companies with the biggest market value in the stock exchange. There's ICTSI with a market value of 416 billion. DMCI with a market value of 127. Market value is the share price in pesos times the number of shares, usually millions of shares. And then you come up with a billion figure for the market value. There's Ayala Corporation with 410 billion market value, Metro Pacific with 134. It's about to be removed from the stock exchange. And then there's Manila Water, MWC with 58 and Megawide with 7. So that's the size of the company on the stock exchange. It's the market value, share price times number of shares. Notice that ICTSI and Ayala Corp have big market value at 400 billion. And even though DMCI has a higher net income, somehow it has a lower market value, and that takes time to build uh, with the dependability of its earnings. Sometimes market value can be high for some companies, even if their net income is for that year lower than others. So it has to do with the ability of the company to be an engine of growth, to be consistently delivering earnings and good cash dividends. Now, ICTSI was 15 pesos per share back in 2005, went up and down, hit 70 sometime around 2020, and then it's now around 205. The highest point was 230. And I dare say it was a rocky road up and down, but generally upwards over time. So I'm able to expect that it might continue creeping up over time over the next few years, as long as they still have projects to work on. That should be the case. There's DM Consunji, which was 1 peso per share around 2005, went up all the way to 18, down to 4. It's now at 9.46. So it's a rocky road and a rocky ride, but I think it's generally upwards, pointing up in the next few years. Uh, so there might be times when you think that if you had invested in 2015, you would be down a lot, and then it would be a long wait going up again. True. There are, for every 5 or 10 year period, you might experience negatives. But as long as the economy is growing, as long as the company is competitive and well managed, eventually take a bigger span of time, and then you will get positive growth. No matter what happens with those 5 years of negatives, they will even out over time. So patience is the key here. The same thing with Ayala Corp. You do have negative, a downtrend sometime around 2019 down to 2023, and then I'm expecting that it starts picking up again in the next few years. So that will be the trajectory of Ayala Corp shares. This is Manila Water, straight up all the way to 40, then straight down all the way to 8. But I think with steady water demand and for them supplying it ably, they'll be able to see that share price leveling out and moving up over time. So it has been a rocky 10 years in the past for Manila Water. So the key to investing for these companies, practically, um, I don't dare say all companies in the world, but most of them, if they are productive companies, are able to deliver a positive return for long time periods, say 10, 15 years. In this case, I studied the prices of ICTSI since 2005. It delivered a share price growth of 16% per year. So that's respectable. Meaning the share price went from 15 all the way to 205. No matter what ups and downs happened along the way, the fact is that it delivered 16% per year for the past 18 years. So it's worth investing in stocks like that. Same thing with DMCI, from roughly 1 peso per share to 9.46 now. That means that the share price went up 13% per year for the past 18 years. That's nice and reliable statistic. Even though there were 5 year periods that were negative, 7 year periods that were negative, overall, over this long span of time, you tend to get positive returns. That's really the way to invest in shares, because they do give good returns over time as long as the economy is growing and the company is ably managed. Same with Ayala Corporation. That share price was a lot higher than 665. It used to be 1,000 plus. So it's suffering some reverses in recent years, but I expect that that share price could pick up over 1,000 eventually again. Meanwhile, mm, its return performance was 9% per year for the past 18 years, and Manila Water 7% a year. So if you're looking for something better than bonds, which is 5% a year, then shares like this, invest money there, wait a long time. Anyway, you're investing for your retirement at the age of 65, 70. So by that time, the positive returns would be back. And then the negative returns would be a thing of the past after having overcome these crises. So how do you buy shares? You check what the price is. If the price is above 1,000 pesos per share, then you need to buy 5 shares minimum or multiples of 5. If the price is 50 to 999 pesos, you need to buy minimum of 10 shares or multiples of 10, and so on. If it's 5 to 49 pesos per share, then you need to buy in groups of 100, minimum of 100. So let's go down to the example of, if ICTSI is at 205 pesos per share, then you need to buy a minimum of 10 shares. And that means your minimum order is 2,050. For DMCI, if the share price is 9.58, you need to buy 100 shares minimum. So your minimum order in pesos is 958. For Ayala Corp, if the share price is 659, multiply by 10 shares minimum, then you'll need to buy 6,590 as your minimum order. And then for Manila Water, if the share price is 20.1 and you need to buy 100 shares, then your minimum order is 2,010. Total for your first basket of stocks will be 11,608. Stockholder ka na. And if you can afford, buy 2 baskets for 23,216, or buy 3 baskets for 34,824, and keep them there for your retirement. That's the best policy. It's very difficult for beginners to make money on stocks if they're trading buy, sell, buy on Monday, sell on Friday, buy in January, sell in December. It's better to just park the money there, buy and hold for long term. Well, thanks for your kind attention. Feel free to send questions to agillis@carillonpartners.net. Good luck on a good mining luncheon infrastructure luncheon, infrastructure and construction luncheon, and may you all have a good day. Thanks.